Shuckalugga kapow. How's it going, old schoolers? You're kicking it old school at Russell JS, and I am your host, Russell JS. You're probably wondering, where have I been? I haven't been making videos and all. Well, been busy with the new job, and, well, it's hard to believe that I could still carry heavy up objects up 3 flights of stairs at my age. I mean, in a week or so, I'm about to be 47 years old. And you know what? I still got it in me. I don't know, something about age. I mean, sometimes I feel the aches and pains. I mean, look at all this gray hair and this gray beard. I mean, sometimes getting old sucks. But you know what? With as you get older, you gain more knowledge and wisdom of things, like all the stupid stuff we all did when we were kids, all the mistakes we made, we learned from. But hey, we're human, right? Anyway, I got my book out. I want to try something new. This isn't going to be an album versus album. I'm doing originals versus covers. You see, back in the 90s, in the early 2000s, there were artists that were putting out cover albums. I guess, they still had an obligation and they hadn't had ideas, for new material. So they would go ahead and put out albums of cover songs, like songs that what inspired them to get into it, like Guns N' Roses had that lousy one, the Spaghetti Incident. Remember that? I mean, they just gotten lazy just because of Axl Rose's ego and attitude. And, the one that I'm doing tonight, though, is I picked 10 songs from Metallica Garage Inc. I really love this album, like around the time, this album came out, a few years, the previous 2 years, in 96, they came out with Load and they came out with Reload, and everybody got all mad because Metallica cut their hair and they changed their style around, went commercial. But, you got to understand, these artists, they sell out the moment they sign that record contract. The stuff they put out in the beginning to the record companies is fine for a while. And then after a while, they want them to do something little what they call edgy, because there's other groups that are getting more popular than they are. But what I did was, considering that this is a 2-disc set, I decided I was going to take 5 songs from each disc and I was going to compare them. Which do I like better, the originals or the covers? We're going to see how this goes. And remember, if you're new to the channel, hit a like, subscribe, leave comments in the box down below, and hit the bell for notifications. But without any further ado, let's get this bad Oscar started, shall we? All right, from disc number 1. Hold on, I just got to take a puff and get a sip. From disc number 1, Turn the Page, originally written and performed by Bob Seger. Now, when I was getting into the classic rock, because I had to find something to substitute and realize that the artists I really liked that my parents forbade me to listen to, I had to go back to what inspired them so I can, I could still enjoy the music that I love. I mean, around that time when it came to classic rock, I knew about classic rock, because of the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Who, the Doors, Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, the Yardbirds, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, Aerosmith, Leonard Skinner, Thin Lizzy, Kiss, etc., etc., etc. And, I didn't really know much about Bob Seger. I've heard a few songs like Night Moves, Shakedown, Ramblin' Gamblin' Man. I knew that was Seger. But this one song, Turn the Page, I remember hearing it on classic rock radio, and I was like, is this Skynyrd? Is this Allman Brothers? I love that intro with the saxophone. And I never knew. And, they stopped playing it for a while. And then around 1998, I'm listening to the radio and the DJ goes, and here's a new single by Metallica called Turn the Page, a cover of an old Bob Seger tune. And I'm like, okay. So I hear it. I recognized it because they substituted the saxophone intro, one of Kirk Hammett's lead guitar riffs. And I'm like, wait, I know that tune. And then before you know it, that song became popular again, thanks in part to Metallica. But you know what? I love Seeger's version, and I love Metallica's version too. I love how they did that twist and made it like their own. So both the original and cover get a point. Number 2 on the list, Tuesday's Gone, originally written and performed by Leonard Skinner. Now, I really dig that tune. I actually love, that song when I first heard it by Leonard Skinner. But you know what? With Metallica's cover, yeah, sure, they had Pepper Keenan. They even had Gary Rossington of Leonard Skinner on the recording. But I didn't like the fact that they put John Popper from Blues Traveler in there as well. So I'm a fan more of the original, so that gets a point. Number 3, Die Die My Darling, originally written and performed by the Misfits. It's an okay cover that Metallica does, but the problem is they did not make it their own. They didn't have Kirk do a really killer, whammy guitar solo in it, like, his signature. And it sounds more like James Hetfield. It sounds like he replaced Glenn Danzig for him to be the front man of the Misfits. I'm not a big fan of their version of Die Die My Darling, so point goes to originals. Astronomy, originally written and performed by Blue Oyster Cult. Oh man, this is another great one. Another great job by Metallica. I mean, the original by B.O.C., the classical piano intro, and, like those wailing, bluesy type vocals. It's a classic. It's classic B.O.C. at its finest. And Metallica went ahead and they made it their own. And I'm a big fan of not only the original version, but their cover of it as well. I mean, James Hetfield sounds a lot like Eric Bloom of Blue Oyster Cult on the vocals. So I got to go ahead and I got to give both the original and the cover a point. Number 5, Whiskey in the Jar, originally performed by and written by Thin Lizzy. Well, let me stop right there, okay? That's not even originally written by Thin Lizzy. As a matter of fact, it's pretty much a cover of a cover, okay? It's originally an age-old Irish folk tune. And, being a proud Irish American and, I also have a love for Irish folk music. You know what? Thin Lizzy's version, I love how they did it, how they changed the words, made it into almost like a blues rock tune. Added a little bit of flamenco guitar in the beginning, but Metallica, they even went ahead and made it their own. So as a proud Irish American, I have to go ahead and give the original and the cover a point. All right, now we move on to disc 2, track number 1, aka number 6. Now, bear in mind, these are the songs I picked off this album. It's not all of them. I wanted to pick my favorite ones off of this. So, number 6, The Small Hours, originally written and performed by Holocaust. Again, I have to say, I'm a fan of both versions. So, original and the cover get a point. Stone Cold Crazy, number 7, originally written and performed by Queen. Metallica, once again, they did not make it their own. I love the tune. I do like Metallica's version. And, I dig it, but it sounds like James Hetfield replacing Freddie Mercury in Queen. I have to go ahead and give it to the original. So What by Anti Nowhere League. Once again, I checked out the original version by Anti Nowhere League, and Metallica, once again, they don't make it their own except for the guitar solo. So, actually, yeah, they do a little bit with the way Kirk Hammett handles the soloing on the guitar. So, I'm going to give both the original and the cover a point. Crash Course in Brain Surgery, originally performed and written by Budgie or Bougie, however you say it. You know what? Yeah, original. Gets a point. Last but not least, Overkill by Motorhead. Originally written and performed by Motorhead, and once again, Metallica did not do anything original with it. They didn't, they didn't go ahead and try to do anything. They made it sound like Motorhead. As a matter of fact, Motorhead was one of the templates for Metallica's influence, along with Blue Oyster Cult, the Misfits, Sabbath, Maiden. And you know what? That point goes to Motorhead. So now, here is the end result. The originals win. Now, here's the thing, I think in many ways, Metallica at the time, they were obligated to a contract where they needed to put out another album. But if you remember, there was a lot of things going on with Metallica. I mean, later on, the documentary known as, I forgot what the name of that documentary was. Remember, it appeared at the theaters for a short time and it came out to video. It was done by the same people that did the Paradise Lost trilogy. And it showed Metallica as being human. I forgot the name of it's been a long while since I've seen that doc. But yeah, remember they were having issues because of James's, alcohol abuse. And this was Jason Newsted's last outing in the studio with the band on bass. He had been with the band since, and I forgot to add, this also has the cut of Garage Days Revisited, and it also has another version of Garage Days, which is where I got Stone Cold Crazy and Holocaust from. But also there was that controversy that Lars Ulrich, the drummer, threw a fit about Napster, where people were downloading Metallica music for free, and he got all, snippy and hissy about it. And I remember watching it. I pretty much almost lost all respect for Lars. It's like, dude, there's still people out there that are buying CDs. I mean, they're still buying CDs today. I mean, vinyl has made a comeback. I've showcased some, brand new vinyl that I had recently purchased. But, it's like, Lars, your $1 million palatial estate and your collection of exotic automobiles is not going to be repossessed and foreclosed on over people downloading free Metallica songs. I mean, they got a lot of criticism for it, but there was a lot of things going on. Like Jason Newsted left the band after 11 years, after I think it was 11 years, something like that. And they replaced him. It took a while for them to find a replacement bass player, where they settled on Robert Trujillo from Suicidal Tendencies and Junk Funkies and, other bands in the Ozzy Osbourne band. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot going on. So I think in many ways when this album came out, they were kind of being lazy with all the drama that was going on. I mean, I could be wrong, but I know there was problems with Hetfield having the drinking problem. Newsted left the group, and, Lars was complaining about, free downloads from Napster. But, there was a lot going on, and I think what happened was they were at the point where they almost didn't care anymore because of things happening. But there's your end result. The originals win. I was getting ready to do an album versus album, track by track. I was going to put Cheap Trick at Budokan against Frampton Comes Alive, but I ran into a little boo-boo. You see, Cheap Trick at Budokan has about 10 tracks on it, and Frampton Comes Alive, that's a double live album, so that probably has about 15 or 20 tracks. So now I'd like to pin, Frampton Comes Alive. I'm gonna do some more research. I'm gonna listen to some live albums during the week. Maybe I could put Ted Nugent Double Live Gonzo against Frampton Comes Alive, or I could put Kiss Alive against, Frampton Comes Alive. Who knows? At any rate, that's the end of this video. I'm going to get ready. I'm probably going to have to do temporarily daily JSs. I got to get a lot of stuff together because lately I've just been tired from a lot of heavy working and things like that. But just assure you, I'm, getting material ready. I'm setting things up. And, there's a lot to talk about. But until then, remember, keep it real, keep it fresh, keep it chill, keep it cool. Listen to old school music, play old school video games, watch old school TV shows, old school movies, and get you enough of love, get you enough of peace, get you enough of less chaos, get you enough of less drama. And as always, Godspeed, may the force be with you always, and shucka-lucka kapow!